Today we're going to talk about how do you know if a prospect really doesn't have the money or if it's just a smokescreen objection. All right, this is an easy one once you know the formula. Let's say the prospect says, we just don't have the money, the budget, the funds right now. Now your first reaction is to not get defensive, whatever you do, or otherwise the deal is done. You simply say something like this. Yeah, that's not a problem. Tell me, if you did have the funding, is this something that would work for you? Now, if you've asked the right questions in the conversation, they're always going to say yes. Now, that could say funding, funds, money, budget, depending on what you sell. Now, here's where you find out if this is just a smokescreen objection or not. When you say, tell me, if you did have the funds, is this something that would work for you? Now, if they have another concern, they're going to bring it up here and they're going to say something like this. Well, it might be, but I'm not really sure about this. And then they bring up the real concern. Then you can address that concern and help them overcome it and actually close a sale. Now, it could be as well that they have another concern, but they also don't have the funding or budget or money to purchase what you're offering as well, or they don't think they do, which is usually the case. That's a big difference. So here's what you'll need to do to help them overcome the lack of funds issue. Let's start from the top. Now, at any time during the process, the prospect might stop you and bring up another concern, which is what you actually want. You want to be on the call. You want to be on Zoom with them. You want to be face-to-face when they have a concern, rather than having a concern and you're not even there to address it. So let's start from the top, and I'm going to role play with myself. Prospect says, we just don't have the funds for this right now. You say, that's not a problem. Tell me, if you did have the funds, is this something that would work for you? Prospect says, yeah, I think it would. We just don't have the money. Hold on though. Money aside, why do you feel like it would work for you? Now this is an NEPQ probing question here that will then get them to tell you, and more importantly themselves, why they feel it's actually what they're looking for. Prospect says, well, we like X and Y and Z, but we just don't have the money for it. You say, okay, and I can appreciate that money might be an issue for you from what you said. I guess, how do you think you can resolve that where you can find the money so that you can, and then you plug in and repeat back what they said they wanted? You're tying in them getting the funding, the money, with having what they said they wanted. If they don't get the funding, the money, they can't have what they said they want. See how that works? Now, when you do this correctly, they'll be the ones coming up with solutions on how to find the funds. They'll think about using a credit card, getting a loan, refinancing their house, borrowing from their 401k, other investments, or maybe if you're in more of a complex selling environment, taking money from a different department and investing it in your solution. Now, if you cannot come up with ways on how they can get the money, if they can't, you can simply ask this question next. Well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding so that you can? And here again, you repeat back in the second thing they said they wanted. Now, let me give you a few examples, just different industries, okay? We train hundreds of different industries, so I just pulled 4 out. Let's say if you sold home security systems. Well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding to be able to protect the home and family from intruders breaking in, though? Let's say if you sold health coaching, you're trying to get people healthy. Well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding to be able to lose this 80 pounds you talked about so you're able to watch your grandkids grow up, if that was their concern? If you sell rental or commercial properties, well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding to purchase this rental property so you can get a greater return on your money? If that was their concern, they want to get a greater return on their money. How about if you sold lead services or marketing for companies? Well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding to start getting a higher quality of lead so your salespeople can make more sales for you? If that was their concern. Let's say if you sold life insurance. Well, what other avenues do you have to find the funding to get, stronger protection for your wife and kids when something does happen to you? See how that works? Okay, we just went over how do you know if a prospect really doesn't have the money or if it's just a smokescreen. And that is your tip for the day.